Alright, so within the past year, I think we've had 3 very distinct ways to blow up in this bizarre, ever-changing musical landscape. First, you make a catchy song that also becomes a massive meme.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. Busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box. Had to put the stick in.
Second, you know, the old-fashioned way, you just make a great song that a lot of people like. There are obviously more than a few examples of this one.
Make my earthquake. Oh, make my earth took some time to survive you.
And the third way, which is the most recent, and it's the one that makes my brain hurt the most, is to make a song that turns into one of these things.
I'm just a loser. Stupid. What was happening? What was happening? I'm a savage.
But it's interesting because, to my knowledge, most of these songs weren't made with the idea that they would become TikTok trends. They were semi-popular songs that some TikTok choreographer picked, then they really blew up as the trend blew up. But do you want to know what it sounds like when somebody tries to make a TikTok trend song? AKA somebody trying to manufacture success in a way that is comparable to that time when Justin Bieber taught his fans how to hack streaming services? AKA, you know, the death of art. This is what that sounds like.
Go right foot up, left foot slide, left foot up.
I'm sitting here and watching this and listening to this like, really? Really? I really don't know if I've ever seen such a lazy, blatant, embarrassing attempt at somebody saying, "Money please, attention please, I'm gonna do the absolute bare minimum and hope that keeps cash flowing into my bank account." And this idea got me thinking, when's the last time that Drake really cared about music? It's felt like a long time of him just being good at marketing and not being a passionate musician. And then I remembered that he did start out as an actor, so I mean, clearly he has an interesting perspective when it comes to fame, and he knows how this stuff works. He's been very successful in multiple fields, so should I even be surprised that he's willing to do stuff like this? I mean, within this past decade, Drake has been throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. We can go through examples with his accents and the age-old story of him being a quote-unquote culture vulture. We've had Southern Drake.
Miles steady racking up the air miles. Hit the gym, step on the scale, stare at the number.
Then there was Toronto Drake.
It's like mans are on road, it feels like anybody's a target, you know? You just don't know like where it's gonna come.
Full-on Jamaican Drake was very interesting.
Thing set, the thing dead end, trust me, headshot to them bomb.
United Kingdom Drake seemed pretty forced.
Hands with tune on repeat. Thought he was a bad boy then till man got pinched and man went PC.
And Spanish Drake was just downright confusing. To go along with this idea, we can go through Drake's sloppy history of borrowing the sounds and styles of whoever he wants. As Earl Sweatshirt put it in a series of tweets about Drake in 2015, the line between paying homage and wave riding is a blurry one. A lot of people don't like the story of Drake remixing the song Sweeter Man by Ram Riddles without really giving the original musician any props. There was the time that Drum accused Drake of stealing the sound of Cha-Cha to make Hotline Bling, which is obviously one of his biggest songs ever.
I like to cha-cha, ay. I know when that hotline bling, that can only mean.
I feel like we don't talk about it enough, but remember when Drake just flat out stole half a verse? Like, pretty much word for word?
She got a buddy named SB12, now you know the deal.
She got a buddy named Young JB, and now you know the deal.
We get freaky in the studio late night. That's why the beats that you hear coming real tight.
We turned up in the studio late night. That's why the songs that you hear coming real tight.
A lot of fools put salt in the game to where these women get the notion that they running the game.
A lot of fools putting salt in the game until these women get the notion that they running the game.
Many people agree that Drake's most critically acclaimed album, Take Care, was pretty much copying the sounds of The Weeknd's Trilogy. He hopped on the Migos wave when they were blowing up. Fetty Wap and My Way was a thing, there was Tuesday with McConan, that joint album with Future came at a very specific time, and so on. Obviously, some of these examples are much more negative than others. Drake stealing Hotline Bling from Drum and that blatant copyright infringement on Who Do You Love is terrible, and there's no way around it. But Drake seeing talented musicians blowing up, hopping on a remix, and making both parties more famous in the process, that's where it's up for debate. As Earl said, the line between paying homage and wave riding is a blurry one. Switching gears a little bit, sports Drake is something that seems a little bit less egregious because, I mean, if I had the money that he did, I would be going to a lot of sporting events too. But here's the thing, we've already talked about riding waves, and I think that there's a certain aspect of that coincides with loyalty. And for anyone that is a sports fan, you know how corny it is to pledge your allegiance to every single team you can find. There's something so incredibly cringy about watching Drake pretend that he's such a massive fan of all these different sports and teams and players. Yes, we all know his main allegiance lies with the Toronto Raptors, and yes, it's also very annoying watching him pretend to be an assistant coach or whatever he's doing. I mentioned earlier how Justin Bieber telling his fans to hack the streaming numbers for Yummy was disgusting, and now I'm remembering that Drake sort of indirectly did the same kind of thing. I have an entire video about this, but Drake's most recent studio album was Scorpion, a 25-track, hour-and-a-half long double album that I am 100% convinced was only made for monetary gain. There are only a couple decent songs on this massive album, and I think you can guess why. In this era of streaming, musicians get paid more and get more promotion for every stream they get. So from Drake's perspective, why would he take the time to create 10 great tracks when he could make 25 songs that all blend in with one another? He's getting more bang for his buck. All his stans are happy because quantity is probably more important than quality when they love anything and everything that this guy makes, and I could go on and on. If you see a musician put out an album this big and all of it sounds the same, this is probably what they're doing. And again, I'm trying to go back to one of my original questions. When's the last time Drake actually cared about the music and not about marketing himself to stay relevant while doing the bare minimum? Then I remembered what his last project was, and I think I started laughing out loud like a madman. Drake's last full-length release was a compilation of songs to remind you how good his music used to be, which in the context of how we're approaching this video is hilarious. Think about all of this for a second. After blowing up and making a name for himself, Drake has spent the last decade switching up his accents and cultural identities to whatever was popular at a given time. He has blatantly stolen from musicians. He's been in this gray area of helping other musicians achieve fame, but also profiting off of them in the process. He's proven that riding waves and seeking attention is pretty easy in the sports world too. He's made albums that are purely for hacking streams and making money, disregarding the art form of music entirely. His most recent project is a compilation of all the times when we actually remember him for being interesting, and his most recent single is him trying to create the next big TikTok trend. So with all of this in mind, I ask you this. Is Drake a genius marketer, or is he just a scam artist? I think that specifically asking hip-hop fans this question is fascinating. Rap fans are very, very passionate about two opposing ideas within this topic. On one hand, there's always talk of respecting the culture and being accepted in the game. Whenever some 13-year-old SoundCloud rapper says that Tupac is boring, half of the rap community has a brain aneurysm. But then because rap, more than any other genre, is about starting from the bottom, see what I did there? The idea of cynicism in hip-hop is interesting. Rappers can be celebrated for securing the bag by whatever means necessary by some fans, and then vilified by others for doing the same exact thing. When people bring up Quentin Tarantino, for example, half of the crowd will talk smack about how he steals his ideas from other directors. The other half will say, but did you see how cool it was that he stole those ideas and put his own spin on them? Whether we're talking about Tarantino or Drake, they might be geniuses, they might be scam artists, but one thing's for certain, they are good at what they do. Hey, thank you for watching that video. Be sure to comment down below with what you think of this topic. Is Drake a genius? Is he a scam artist? Or anything in between? If you want to support the channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media at RenshawHS. You can buy my merch, support my Patreon, and thank you again. I'll see you soon.